But let's get more on it, because I want to speak now to the Athletic's David Ornstein. Look, good morning to you, David. Fair to say, little Ollie on Friday was giving nothing away. In fact, he danced around us all as we all kind of said, why wouldn't United go for somebody like Ronaldo? But it was already very much in motion. In fact, it felt like the deal had almost been done by that stage. So what's your understanding of how it played out then?
Yeah, morning, Vicky, Darren, Kevin. Lovely to be with you as always.
Morning, David.
Well, that excitement that Darren's given us there is quite the sort of tantalising intro for something that really is blowing the football world off its feet, and understandably so. It's huge news. Vicky, I started to get wind of this on Thursday evening after about 9 o'clock. I got a text from a player in this area where I'm talking to you from now, Wilmslow, which is a place that Kevin knows particularly well, close to Manchester. It's where Cristiano Ronaldo lived when he was at Manchester United first time around. A lot of people are very well connected in the area to clubs like Manchester United, Manchester City. And word was starting to spread that United were properly in this race. And it was great that Darren asked you for your journalistic insight as well, because I think that's really interesting for our audiences. You need to corroborate these stories. You need to make absolutely sure of them. And we weren't able to do that at this time. It seemed that Manchester City were still the firm front runners. But around here, people were starting to say it's inconceivable that he would go to Manchester City. You don't realise what a legend he is at Manchester United, a real modern legend. He can't do what somebody like Peter Schmeichel did, or Dennis Law many years ago. It just can't happen. And that sort of set the tongues wagging. And then we came into Friday, and soundings that Manchester City perhaps was not going to happen, and their briefing then arrived that they were not pursuing this deal any longer. And that's around the time that the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference was taking place. And I think the journalists were probing again and again to gain an understanding of what was happening. And it wasn't until the last question by excellent reporter Mike McGrath from The Telegraph, who said, why wouldn't you take an opportunity to sign a player like this? And that's when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sort of said, well, we're in contact with him, and he knows if he's to leave Juventus that he would be very welcome at Manchester United always. And I think he knew at that point that the deal was pretty much done already. And so it seems the wheels had been put in motion. We've got a big piece also on The Athletic that explains the full background, and I can go into that more. But it ended up with what's about to be, because it's not completed yet, one of the most spectacular signings I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You mentioned Mike McGrath there. You know, like I say, moments earlier, I'd had my one-to-one with Ollie, and I'd literally said those very words. You know,
let it go, Vicky, let it go.
I can't let it go. I can't let it go. Anyway, I will try and move on from it. But, you know, it felt like, you know, you'd asked the question. He was like, he's a great player. It was just coming back. I mean, brilliant at deception. Fair play to Ollie. Look, how damaging, you touched on it there, how damaging do you think it would have been, though, not only for the player, but for his former club, had he gone to City, do you feel?
Well, Darren pointed to the Ollie Holt piece, which does raise some very interesting and pertinent points. At 36 years old, on an astronomical salary, reports suggesting the biggest salary in Premier League history. They're going to hopefully get a couple of good years out of him, but at the same time, that's not really a step into the future, is it? It's a win now signing, and I'm sure that would have been one of the considerations for Cristiano Ronaldo himself. Where do I stand the best chance of winning? Maybe that's why the Manchester City interest was perhaps so appealing, because they're ready to launch, aren't they, with maybe one or two additions for that first Champions League title. Are Manchester United quite there yet under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? We'll see. It would have been really damaging for his legacy in the Manchester United fan base, the history, no doubt about that. And you only need to speak to United fans to know that it would have tarnished things, because they absolutely adore him. And he had spoken in the past about never wanting to join Manchester City. And it's a tricky situation in that he needed to find a club, Vicky. And George Mendes, his agent, who is a crucial player in this story, make no mistake about it, and one of the few agents that actually Sir Alex Ferguson speaks highly of. He was probing for months, as I understand it, for a club for Cristiano Ronaldo who wanted to leave Juventus. this summer. It hasn't worked out there. Despite his spectacular goal-scoring record, he's not got past the quarterfinals, I think it is, of the Champions League. Last 16 exits in the last 2 years. Failure to win the 10th consecutive Italian title last season. And nobody was responding. You know, I think he was trying Manchester United, Manchester City, PSG, etc. And I think they all had their eye on maybe taking him, especially Manchester United, as a 37-year-old free agent next summer without paying a transfer fee. And that's why we saw reports saying Manchester City didn't want to pay a transfer fee, and that was a potential sticking point. But then when Manchester City were in the frame, I think that changed everything for Manchester United. For that very question you asked, they couldn't accept him going to Manchester City. And so they stepped forward at that point and very swiftly agreed a deal. And that's why I think it was such a spectacular story for us to report on Friday. The cameraman working with me today, Pete, was on top of it. We spoke that morning. There was devastation among Man United fans that he could be on his way to City, and then elation just a few hours later. And so I think it's a huge moment for Manchester United. I mean, I've had fans and people connected to the club absolutely itching to get hold of tickets for that 11th of September game against Newcastle if he does indeed play. I mean, it's going to, despite being a 3 o'clock kickoff that's not going to be televised in the UK, it's going to be a global event. Cristiano Ronaldo returning to Manchester United. Mind-blowing.
Normally, you're a nuts and bolts man, David. We normally get you, as you've been doing today, on the story behind the story. But just talk about the football for once. I mean, in the league in Italy, 21 goals, 31 goals and 29 goals in his 3 seasons at Juventus. What side of the fence are you on? Do you think he could outscore the likes of Salah and Kane and Lukaku at 36, 37 in February?
Yeah, I do, Darren. I think he's got the capability of doing so. He outscored Romelu Lukaku in Italy last season to take the Golden Boot award there. That man's body is a temple. We've seen and read about how diligent he is in his preparation. I don't think he's going to be popping into Patrice Evra's for a bite to eat in spite of, you know, having his own meals on his table when he comes back here to the area. He prepares like nobody else, I'm sure. And it's interesting, another former United coach who lives around here, René Meulenstein, worked very hard with Cristiano Ronaldo to get his technical preparation right and his physical side of things, tactical as well. There was one season where I think he was struggling after one of the major tournaments, and they sat down, he did a presentation for him, they talked through, they worked on skills, and he catapulted and he got top goal scorer, player of the year, helped United to trophies, and his trajectory has only gone up. Now, of course, age catches up with all of us, but he has it within him to score more goals, or as many goals as those names you mentioned. I've got no doubt about that at all. You know, he's going to, unfortunately for Edinson Cavani, he's going to take precedence now at United. We do understand that Cavani is going to be staying, but in a team where he's going to get a lot of chances, I can see him racking up a huge number of goals. The one concern a few United people have expressed to me is, do they have enough creativity to put those chances on a plate for him? Of course, they've got Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, but if you look at that Manchester City team, goodness me, the sort of forwards and creative midfielders, I could have seen Ronaldo scoring more than 30 goals this season, and the same if Kane had come. You may as well have stopped taking odds on the title, and Ronaldo has the ability to do that. Will Manchester United assist him in quite the way he would like? I think they'll give him enough, and I think he will score bagfuls, but at Manchester City, he may have got even more. It's a really interesting question, and I can't wait to see the answer, because I think he's in the shape and the determination and the unfinished business that he may have at Old Trafford is a potent concoction.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Look, just finally, obviously we thought the Harry Kane story was pretty big, then Lionel Messi, and now Ronaldo. Where does it rank for you?
Well, I mean, Vicky, we haven't even mentioned there Jack Grealish, the first £100 million transfer inside the Premier League. and he's not had a bad start to life at the Etihad Stadium. We've not talked much about Romelu Lukaku, almost £100 million into Chelsea, and he could really be the difference maker for them this season, already European champions. But in terms of global spectacle, Darren mentioned it there. We mentioned it's not a 3 o'clock kickoff in the UK, that Newcastle match, but my goodness, it's going to be beamed all over the world. The Messi one was earth-shattering. It really was, because I'm not sure many of us ever thought we'd see the day when he left Barcelona. So in that sense of it being a one-club man, Ronaldo is not. He had already moved around before. What knocked the socks off of it in this transfer is how quickly it came about, and the sort of poetry, if you're a Man United fan, of him being so close seemingly to Manchester City and then coming back home, as they're calling it. I'm trying to think back over the years. We had the Fernando Torres one on January deadline day in 2011 with Andy Carroll then replacing him at Liverpool. We've had records broken left, right and centre. Ronaldo from Manchester United to Real Madrid, Gareth Bale from Tottenham Hotspur to Real Madrid, deadline day deal for Real Madrid, Mesut Ozil from there to Arsenal, and so many transfers over the years that you are synonymous with deadline day. We had the player who came into Manchester United, whose name escapes me, from Monaco, and this one seems to trump them all. I think you're
Falcao.
right. And
is that Falcao, David?
Falcao, of course. Radamel Falcao, apologies. And so, yeah, I just think for everything this stands for and potentially stands for, this is amazing. There are some people who feel that as journalists we haven't touched upon another side. Ronaldo's faced some very serious allegations in recent times. There's more to this story than just the playing football. But yeah, it is something that is going to keep us extremely busy on and off the pitch.
Yeah, certainly did on Friday, but I say I'm over it now. Just before you go, happy birthday for yesterday. I understand it was your birthday, so
yeah, happy birthday, David.
Happy birthday from us all. We would sing, but we're terrible.
Thank you, guys.